Well, I would say Benavidez, but he's too, that weight class is too high for him. So, where he's at now is great.
David, do you think Crawford will fight you if he beats Canelo?
Nah, I wouldn't fight Crawford. I'm at 175.
And Terence Crawford.
No.
No, we ain't doing that fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts.
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts.
Brian Bomac McIntyre stirred discussion after the fight when questioned about Turki Alalshikh's proposal for a matchup between Terence Crawford and David Benavidez. In response, McIntyre dismissed the idea, stating that Crawford has no need to take on that kind of fight.
Sit where we need to sit for a minute, and then, just like I said, get back in the gym and do our thing.
Absolutely.
And he don't want them.
Brian Bomac McIntyre made it clear that the matchup wasn't something they were interested in pursuing. He also explained to fans that a fight against Jaron Ennis wouldn't be beneficial preparation for Saul Canelo Alvarez, pointing out that Terence Crawford presents a completely different type of challenge compared to Ennis.
What does this performance prove about the Ennis sparring? You guys were largely
I told you it don't
about
make no difference. Didn't I say it? I said that don't mean shit. I don't give a damn about that.
Yeah.
I said that, didn't I?
Yeah,
In one of those interviews, I said that. Don't mean shit. Because he's no Bud Crawford. I'm not taking nothing from Ennis, Boozy, them over there, them my guys. Shit, but bringing in that, which is good for Canelo, but it didn't do no good in the fight.
The situation surrounding David Benavidez gained momentum after a key figure in Saudi boxing, Turki Alalshikh, posted on social media shortly after Terence Crawford's major victory. He congratulated Crawford for securing the undisputed super welterweight title, noting that he became the first fighter to achieve undisputed status in 3 separate divisions. He also acknowledged Saul Canelo Alvarez for delivering an entertaining performance. However, he then raised a question that quickly fueled speculation across the boxing community, whether Benavidez could still make the 168-pound weight limit. That single remark sparked widespread discussion about a potential matchup between Crawford and Benavidez. Analyst Greg Hackett weighed in on the reports, suggesting that the proposed fight didn't appear to be based on sporting merit, but rather on financial and promotional appeal. He argued that Crawford didn't need such a bout to maintain his standing, and added that cutting down to 168 pounds after competing at 175 could take a physical toll on Benavidez.
Try to test his limits, and they think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in at 175.
Greg Hackett went on to argue that much of the discussion surrounding a potential clash between Terence Crawford and David Benavidez was largely speculative. In his view, Turki Alalshikh was using the conversation as a way to generate buzz and demonstrate promotional influence. However, Hackett also acknowledged that such matchups can still capture interest, even if they originate more from marketing momentum than from confirmed plans.
Benavidez had some tough tasks in front of him that he wanted to conquer before even talking like that. I don't even think he wanted to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was the man at 68 and he was at 68. I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud cared about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. So Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm.
One of the main debates surrounding the potential matchup centered on whether Terence Crawford could successfully move up in weight. While some described him as a 4-division world champion, others questioned how accurate that label truly was. Boxing commentator and YouTube analyst Showtime Sean Porter has previously raised concerns about Crawford's resume, asking whether it fully justifies the level of recognition he receives. Critics have long argued that Crawford hasn't consistently faced enough elite opposition to definitively prove himself at the very highest level of the sport.
Crawford is top 4 greatest fighters of all time. Do you understand how improbable this is? I thought Bud had no chance. I lost 20 grand. Not only is Terence Crawford on my Mount Rushmore, like I've said, if he were to win, because the probability of him winning against all the odds, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see how at all.
The coverage largely overlooked the positive aspects of this historic bout, focusing instead on the toll it took as one of the sport's biggest names moved up in weight and endured a physically demanding performance. Despite that, Terence Crawford managed to shift the perception of even his toughest critics, forcing many to reassess his impact on the sport. In the hours following the fight, footage circulated capturing the immediate aftermath, documenting the transformation he went through so that moment wouldn't be forgotten.
Class he put together, that guy, he can face anybody in history and be a problem. Him right there. Not only that, I think this cements the fact that everybody avoided him. This right here answers everything. Not only is Terence Bud Crawford on my Mount Rushmore, but everybody avoided him. And that sheds more light on how he beat Errol Spence.
Terence Crawford made history by becoming the first boxer to hold all 4 major titles across 3 different divisions, even stepping up to the 168-pound weight class to achieve that feat. No one else has accomplished that milestone, which highlights just how significant his achievement is. So while there may be debate about certain labels, his accomplishments remain remarkable and set him apart. Many were also surprised by the reaction of Saul Canelo Alvarez following his majority decision loss to Crawford. At the post-fight press conference, instead of avoiding the topic, he openly acknowledged Crawford's performance and admitted that he was a better fighter that night.
And compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence Bud Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
Veteran boxing journalist Dan Raphael shared his perspective on the bout between Terence Crawford and Saul Canelo Alvarez. Drawing on decades of experience covering the sport, Raphael pointed out that what stood out most to him was Crawford's ability to take control in the later stages of the fight. He also noted that Canelo appeared to have the edge during the early rounds before the momentum shifted.
But he did a great job. I thought it was close. I had Canelo ahead in the early going, but I thought Crawford did an amazing job closing that fight down in the last few rounds, where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant performance.
Dan Raphael further emphasized the historical significance of Terence Crawford's victory. He explained that while there had been doubts about the fight happening, it was ultimately a challenge Crawford had long pursued and worked hard to secure. Raphael also pointed out that Crawford rarely had opportunities to face naturally bigger opponents, as many believed such matchups were unlikely or unrealistic. This made the achievement stand out even more in the context of his career.
He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him and said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that. Canelo, because everybody who has ever read me, followed me, listened to me knows I love Canelo. I think he's one of the greats of all time. I think you can make a really good argument that he's the greatest Mexican of all time, even more than Chavez. That said, he is in decline. He's been in decline for the last few years. He hasn't been what we've seen him at his best since he beat Caleb Plant, that Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Sanders time frame. And, even though he's winning fights, the knockouts haven't happened. He's gotten tired in the later part of the fights, and it's just common. It's the oldest saying in boxing: "Father Time is on the."
Sean Zittle weighed in on Terence Crawford's rise in recognition following his victory over Canelo Alvarez. Zittle noted that while he had long acknowledged Crawford's skill, naming him the top pound-for-pound fighter back in 2017, he had never quite elevated him to the same echelon as boxing's all-time legends.
I had Crawford #1 pound for pound back in 2017. I always acknowledged him as the best counterpuncher in the game, one of the great counterpunchers. But I didn't see him as Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson. I didn't see him as that. I saw him as the tier of greats right below that. Oscar, Shane, Mike McCallum, guys like that. And it turns out, no. He's with the best of the best.
Sean Zittle went on to critique Terence Crawford's technical performance against Canelo Alvarez. He highlighted how Crawford absorbed power shots with remarkable resilience, displaying punch resistance rarely seen in that weight class. According to Zittle, Alvarez lost his rhythm as the fight progressed, while Crawford took control starting the 3rd and 4th rounds, using his jab to dominate the bout.
The effect on Crawford, I know Crawford felt it, but he had good punch resistance. He came up in weight beautifully, and then as time went on, his jab and his length, it's around that 3rd and 4th round, really started to give Canelo fits. And then, #1, his bread and butter, his gift. Yes, he's got great tactics, great distance control, efficient footwork. He doesn't, and he took the air out of the ball when he wanted to in this.
Canelo Alvarez entered the fight fully aware that his size, skill, and strength would play a key role. Fans were intrigued by the fact that Alvarez, as a former champion, knew how to handle pressure despite competing at the demanding super middleweight division. After his loss to Terence Crawford, Canelo took to Instagram to address his followers. Rather than complaining, he reflected on his performance, focusing on his team's efforts, the sacrifices made, and expressing gratitude toward his family and friends who had supported him throughout his post. He wrote about being proud of all he had accomplished so far. Though victory is always a goal, he said he was willing to accept defeat as a chance to learn. He thanked his team for their dedication and highlighted his wife, Fernanda Alvarez, for standing by him during challenging times. He added, "Finally, I want to thank my wife Fernanda for being so patient and holding my hand through this whole thing. Good luck in Mexico, Mom." Meanwhile, Terence Crawford, the victorious fighter, displayed an unusual flash of irritation during the post-fight news conference. He became upset with a reporter who mocked him on camera, showing that this moment was more than just a victory. It was a culmination of a long-standing media narrative about him.
Became a 3-time undisputed champion, the first ever in the 2, 3, or 4 belt era, and you became the second undisputed champion in 3 weight classes when there was only one champion back in 1938 with Henry Armstrong. That's a lot of stuff.
You hear that? You hear that?
Boxing analysts and journalists had long dismissed Crawford, claiming he lacked appeal, couldn't attract fans, and wouldn't make an impact in the sport. At the press conference, Crawford's reaction reflected all of that criticism. He made it clear that, now standing on the sport's biggest stage, he had proven his doubters completely wrong.
And all of it. It all goes hand in hand.
Can you describe what it all means to you to have, you just made like a whole resume of stuff tonight.
It means a lot to me because, you know, anybody can be a nobody, like I said, you know, and that's all they say I've been fighting is nobodies. So what can they say now?
When Canelo, the reigning champion, stepped into the ring to defend his title, much more than belts were at stake. His reputation and legacy were on the line. A loss meant not only giving up his championships, but also risking the public image that had defined him. In the end, Crawford secured a unanimous decision victory, claiming the undisputed middleweight crown and dethroning Canelo in both title and historical standing. Australian cruiserweight champion Jao Patai immediately weighed in, showing clear respect for Crawford's performance. He acknowledged the fight's significance and agreed that Crawford had earned the win decisively.
Much ammunition, though. Too smart. Like, what a technician.
Are you shocked or not?
Not at all. Not at all. That's how I pictured the fight going. So I'll picture the fight going that way. Man, impressive. You know what I mean? Coming up from all those weight divisions. Hit and don't get hit. That's the aim of the game.
Yeah.
Puts him differently in their list, but he's in everyone's list. You know what I mean? He's deserved his respect. He's one of the greats. And that Crawford name, that last name, that's written down in history. So, good on him.
Pattaya went on to discuss Crawford's rising status in the boxing world, noting that while his fame is still relatively recent, the Nebraska fighter's name has firmly entered the conversation among the sport's all-time greats. According to Pattaya, Crawford has earned widespread respect within the boxing community, and his legacy is now officially woven into the history of the sport.
Fight, I was hoping that there was more action coming from Canelo. You know, I'm used to Canelo fighting that way all the time. You know, he tried his best. You know, he always has trouble against movers. I was really expecting them to be more punches, more movement by Canelo. Yeah, I mean, it was a situation where he's, you know, Terence Crawford's a tactician, and he throws combinations and he moves. And then, you know, if you try and exchange with him, he's gone already. So you got to be fast. You got to punch him when he's punching you.
Lennox Lewis, the former heavyweight champion, weighed in on Terence Crawford's stunning victory over Canelo Alvarez. Lewis praised the bout overall, but felt that Alvarez didn't perform at his usual level. He expected the Mexican star to be more aggressive, throw additional punches, and display quicker movement. Lewis noted that Alvarez has historically struggled against boxers with smooth, fluid styles, making Crawford a particularly challenging opponent.
Boxed about many times, and I thought that this time he just boxed like he always boxes. And then I felt he couldn't really do nothing against Terence Crawford because Terence Crawford was too quick. too elusive. You know, anybody would find trouble with him, but Canelo couldn't find him. For Canelo to win a round, I say he won about 3 rounds in that fight. I was actually amazed at the way how Terence Crawford moved and, you know, never got hit and threw combinations, because that's what you're supposed to do, throw combinations. So he threw combinations. He wasn't trying to knock out Canelo, but he definitely was throwing a lot of punches, a lot of
After Canelo Alvarez fell to Terence Crawford, Lennox Lewis shared his assessment. He explained that while Alvarez's approach was typical of his past performances, Crawford's style demanded more adaptability. Lewis noted that Crawford's quick reflexes and strong defensive skills made it difficult for Canelo to land clean punches or seize control of the match, ultimately limiting his effectiveness in the ring.
People, it's the morning after the big fight. Crawford Canelo. Shout outs to Crawford. You did it, boy. You did it. For those who still aren't quite sure what they witnessed last night, I'm gonna let you know that you witnessed what is called a notorious boxing clinic. This is everything done right.
Most observers agreed that it wasn't Canelo Alvarez's raw power that led to his defeat, but rather Crawford's exceptional speed, timing, and ring intelligence. Crawford consistently made Canelo miss, forcing him into awkward positions and keeping the momentum firmly on his side. While Canelo landed several heavy punches, many connected only when Crawford allowed them, minimizing their impact. Physically, Canelo was perfectly suited for his weight class, yet Crawford's skill neutralized that advantage. Former unified welterweight champion Keith Thurman described Crawford's showing as a masterclass in boxing. He emphasized that it wasn't merely a victory, but a demonstration of flawless fundamentals, impeccable timing, and composure at the highest level. As a super middleweight, few expected Crawford to handle both Canelo's speed and power so effectively, yet he maintained control throughout the fight, earning widespread praise for his strategic dominance.